My screen's on a different side now, so it's kind of like, oh,
Oh, so it's like the opposite of the last time.
yeah.
Oh, it says you're streaming live. All right.
Hey everybody, it's Marianne Bailey with OnlineTechLessons.com and the Hip Senior directory, which is live now, by the way. So if you have a small business, you want to head over there. But stay put for right now because we have Ryan Lippy here from Ryan. Introduce yourself.
I'm Ryan Lippy. I'm with the Consumer Protection section of the Ohio Attorney General's office.
Say that 10 times real fast. Today, we are honored to have Ryan with us for Tech Tuesday, and we are talking about memorialization settings in Facebook and other social media, what social media has it, what social media doesn't, and how to find it. Right, Ryan?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a subject we all look forward to opening up, but just like planning your funeral expenses, just like planning your grave site, those unfortunate things we oftentimes do need to look at, or at least it would help us with our legacy to help to look at that prior to the unfaithful event of us passing away. So it's just one more piece of homework that we can do, that we can line up for our heirs, so that it's one less thing they have to do when you memorialize your intents, when you memorialize exactly what you want out of your social media accounts after you die.
You know, it's funny because through the years, when you talk to people and you mention things that are going to happen after they pass away, they're like, I don't really care. I'll be dead. But
Right.
But this is something that most people don't even think about, and they really need to be thinking about. So if your parents are getting a little bit up there, if if you are up there and you or anybody in general, really, any age really does need to pay attention to these settings. Because you never know what's going to happen in life. And we're not trying to be grim with this today. We're just trying to be protecting you and showing you how to protect yourself, so that if for God forsake, if you're in a car accident or something like that, um, your accounts are protected. And here's why. If you were to pass away and somebody was able to see that, oh, look at this account, it hasn't had much action for a few months now, nobody's logged in, and there's they used to post every day and now they haven't posted for a few months, did that person die or whatever, and they managed to hack into your account, they can get a lot of control over things that you don't even think about. So in Facebook, for example, you can have the ability to send people money, right? And what if it's not you controlling your account and all of a sudden it's some stranger, right? And they go and they message your friends and say all your friends possibly didn't know that you passed away. Who knows? A lot of us have Facebook friends that we're not really close with. We're just on friends with them because they have something in common with us, or because we do business with them,
Right.
or different stuff, or we're not very diligent about making who sure that we know who they are when we friend them. I know some people that are like that as well. And say they messaged all your friends and said, hey, my social security check doesn't come until the 1st, and say it's the 20th of the month. I don't get my social security check until the 1st, and I've got a flat tire and I really need, $150 to call someone out here, fix this tire and get a new tire. Could you loan me $150 till the 1st, and I'll pay you back when I get my social security money? And you're thinking, oh, well, yeah, a tire, this person needs to go to the doctor or get groceries or whatever. That's important. So yeah, I will send them $150 times 3,000, 5,000 friends, whatever it is, how many friends that you happen to have on Facebook. That could really add up for a criminal out there, right, Ryan?
Absolutely. And just the other aspect of it is it brings up bad memories, and not in an unusual context for friends that you've let that are still living. I remember I had a senior member of our staff at a different state agency that I used to work for passed away after he moved to Oregon and established a new career. And so things happened. He passed away in the state of Oregon. And months later, I get a duplicative request for his friendship on Facebook. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. He's not living anymore. I wonder why there's a request for me to friend someone who, number one, I'm already friends with, and number two, it's passed away. So obviously that was a scammer trying to build together a duplicative social media account in order to scam probably friends out of money, not realizing the person was actually deceased. And it brought up, it brought up memories. And it was really unfortunate that I saw someone almost being scammed after they've already passed away. So then it was the family that was really being scammed to some extent because they had to look into that situation. So it can happen where scammers will not realize that you've passed away and then still hack into your account or try to scam those that are still alive.
Right. And a lot of times it's not them hacking into the account that happens. Most of the time when, and we hear this all the time, people will post on Facebook, oh, I've been hacked. If you get another friend request for me, don't do it. They're not actually hacking you. And I like to make this very clear to people because I hear this so much and I always correct them on there. I'm like, look, you weren't hacked. Nobody was in your account. Nobody was able to see your password and all this other stuff. They have computers running that go in there and they create account. It's called cloning, and they'll take an account and they'll take your picture from your profile in Facebook or other social medias. They'll create an account with your name. There could be a lot of Bob Jones Joneses out there and whatnot, or Sue Smith or whatever. And they take your name and they create an account with your picture, your name, and then they go through and they start friending your friends. Mm-hmm. And so that they're creating an account that looks like yours. People will have a hard time differentiating between that. But what the easy way to differentiate between that is before you go friend them, say yes. Most people, unless you're some people that I happen to know personally, that have been, I had to correct after this. Most people do not create a second Facebook account.
Right.
Some people will, if they get frustrated, they can't figure out their password and they can't seem to get it from Facebook. They'll just say, the heck with it. I've got another email, and they'll go create a second email account. But just kind of message them first and say, hey, is this really you?
Yeah. My initial reaction when I used to get those requests was, oh, maybe something happened and they accidentally deleted their account, or maybe something happened and they had an identity theft issue and now they're reestablishing their social media account, which are plausible scenarios, but it's more likely that somebody is scamming and cloning their accounts in order to have a duplicative life on Facebook and therefore go to all the Facebook friends that they have been able to attract and ask for money and make up a story about an emergency situation and play off like they, So oftentimes it's not hacking. You're right. It's cloning.
It's just cloning. So like I said, they haven't been in your account, but look down their list, see who's, how many friends they have, or go search look at your friends list and say, oh, I am friends with this person. This person has 500 friends. This other account that I have only has 20, and it was just created yesterday and what like that. One of the tricks, though, to keep them from cloning you is to go into the settings and set, there's one setting in there that says who can see your friends list.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to set that to just yourself.
Yeah.
Because then other people cannot see all your friends without going through each and every single post. And they can't just kind of siphon off your friends and friend your friends as easily. So
it makes the scammer spend a lot more time and energy to try to do it, which hopefully will persuade them from going into a different part of the scam market instead of cloning Facebook accounts.
Exactly. So with that, just kind of, we're, like I said, we're trying to teach you how to, these little tricks and tips of how to keep yourself safe and know what to accept on Facebook and what not to. It can be easy. You can easily be cloned, but let's make it a little bit harder for them to do it.
Right.
So the one thing I should mention, though, is that Facebook, which we're streaming live on right now, is the only social media that really has memorialization settings, other than Instagram kind of has a little bit of Facebook's power in that, but they don't allow you to set a person to handle this stuff like Facebook does, which I didn't know until Ryan just told me. I guess I assumed that all social media didn't, because the last time I checked, but since Instagram's owned by Facebook now, they draw from that same pool a little bit. Facebook
Yeah.
still offers the most versatility when it comes to that.
And it looks like Twitter, just according to media reports, Twitter decided to delete inactive accounts, but there was so much of a backlash, they decided not to delete inactive accounts until they have some type of appropriate method of memorializing, like Facebook already has.
Yeah, I'm not sure why this is such an issue with the other social medias. I mean, you know, a lot of places copy Facebook and as far as what their settings do and all this
Yeah.
stuff anyway. So why they're having trouble deciding to go with that route?
Well, I guess with the growth of Facebook and with the establishment of Facebook over so many years, and it has been years, even though it seems like months, it's been years since we've established our Facebook accounts. With that maturity comes obvious questions and things that go unanswered, perhaps in their initial setup phase or their initial phase of funding. So these are questions that I think every with the other boards like Pinterest and folks like that are going to be encountering. They just might not be exactly at that same point in their life cycle.
Which is kind of crazy because Facebook used to be called legacy settings, and now it's memorialization settings.
Yeah.
So I think I'm going to go ahead and screen share and show people where to find that setting and
Great.
what settings that they can choose from. So I am ready to go with that. I've got Facebook pulled up, and I know a lot of you guys have been telling me that you hate the new Facebook. I do too. Trust me, every chance. Every once in a while it pops up and says, do you want to switch back to the old one? I'm like, yes, ma'am. So I'm sharing the new layout of Facebook here. And here you can see that we're streaming live. And over here on the right-hand side of your screen in the corner where this drop-down menu is, this is where you're going to click on. And you're going to go down here and you're going to pull up settings and privacy. And you're going to click on there. And then the general settings is actually where you're going to find it. They used to be really buried. It used to be down like a couple of menus and then down the long list. Now it's just under the general settings area right here. And when we pull that up under the general account settings right here, memorialization settings. So it's really easy to find right now. You just want to get to the main general area and settings. And down here, it says memorialization settings and decides what happens to your account after you pass away. And then if you just go over here and click on edit, it gives you all these different choices. Choose someone to look after your account after you pass away. They'll be able to manage tribute posts on your profile, which includes deciding on who can post and who can see posts, deleting posts and removing tags, request the removal of your account, respond to new friend requests, and update your profile picture and cover photo. Your legacy contact can only manage posts after you've passed away. They won't be able to post as you or see your messages.
Yeah.
So when people think, oh, I've been talking to friends, I've been sharing my life story or personal things, your delegated person on that cannot see that kind of information. So don't not do this because you're worried about that type of stuff. I'd be more worried about Facebook reading all your stuff than you can the person that you do for that.
Yeah, this is all about preparation. It's not, there are ways to spend money to have your memorialization cemented. I mean, there are products out there now that do make money off of trying to help people set up their memorialization settings and create a legacy locker and things like that. But it's completely free just to do your due diligence now and at least have those initial setups done on your account. So we're not offering something that needs to cost any money necessarily. Right. You just need to appoint someone as your legacy contact, have a discussion with them like you would for other afterlife planning, and then go into Facebook and actually set the settings appropriately.
Yeah, exactly. And as you can see, my daughter is my person, and we've had a discussion. Hey, these are there are things that I want happening with my business, or these are things that I want to happen with my social media should I pass away. And I've got a notebook with all my other social media, the login information and the password information. Should something happen to me, like I had surgery last year. It was they kept telling me you're not going to die. Well, I was convinced that I was going to die, so I kind of went through, made sure I had a living will, and I made sure that I had all my social media stuff written down so that she could go in there and disable stuff. And I said, she's 20, and I said, it may not seem important to you, but it really is, and these are what my wishes are. And she understood that and knew what to do. So just kind of always, when you add someone, it's going to send them a message saying that you've made them your delegated person for this. So you might want to contact them first and say, hey, I'm setting up a memorialization page stuff on Facebook. Would you mind being my go-to person for this? And just make sure that they know when they receive that email that it's not a hoax as well.
There are always those functions that we wonder about setting up before we die, and this is just one that should be on our checklist. Who's going to write the obituary? There's lots and lots of questions that sometimes aren't answered until the death already happens. But this is one thing you can take care of in advance. Not to be gruesome, but it's one thing you can do in preparation, simply to alleviate the facts that a lot of work is going to need to be done after you pass to begin with. So this is just one less question and answer they're going to have to come up with in terms of your legacy and your memorialization on your social media accounts.
Right. Yeah. And so the next option down here is data archive permission. Allow my legacy contact to download a copy of what I've shared on Facebook. This will include posts, photos, videos, and information from the About section of my profile, which might be content that wasn't originally visible to your legacy contact. Messages won't be included. So again, there's that thing that, the messages that you're having with people, it's still private.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we can, I guess, appreciate in the social media world is some of the attention they're giving to these issues to make sure it's done correctly and according to your wishes, making sure they just don't delete an account, that they actually have a death notification or a death certificate that's been furnished to them by the next of kin or by someone who's appointed as being the legacy contact. I think they are very sensitive to this. I don't know if they always have been or not. This isn't an area that I've been much prized of for years and years. So, but they do seem, when I was doing a little research on this over the last week or two, they do seem pretty sensitive to making sure they do it right and have respect for the family members and have respect, and just don't go and delete accounts because some arch enemy of yours says that you're dead and wants to get back at you by deleting your account. I mean, they have certain checks and balances to make sure they're doing the right thing. Not that there can't ever be errors, but I think in this case, they are going through some steps to make sure that the right choices are made according to your wishes.
That brings something to mind though, Ryan. What, we're telling people to do this, but how does Facebook know you really did pass away?
Right. I mean, they want some type of proof. Let me take a look at my research here, because they don't just automatically let's see.
Because there was this program called Red Folder that Chris, my friend Chris up in Washington State, started a business for this, and I think he's canceled it. He's stopped moving it forward since then. But it actually had like triple layers of if someone requested the password, they would send that person a notification saying, hey, so-and-so has requested access to your account, and you could personally set up how long you you had to answer that message 5 days, 2 weeks, 3 hours, whatever the case was that you
Yeah.
like, oh, I always get to my messages really fast. If I don't get to it within 5 days, obviously something has happened to me. And then it actually went through like a couple layers of checks for that type of stuff, which was really interesting. And
Yeah, and USA Today reported this article's getting old because in social media, I would think something's old if it's 2 months old. This is actually from last year at this time. They said that you can ask LinkedIn to remove the profile of a dead colleague, classmate, or family member by explaining your relationship to the person and, among other requested information, supplying the date of death, obituary, and the company the person most recently worked at. So that's sort of LinkedIn's policy as of a year ago, according to USA Today.
interesting.
Yeah, and in terms of Facebook, the person won't see your messages or ads that you clicked on or pokes or security or settings info. If photos have gone synced but not posted, they won't see those. But they do, I mean, a lot of these times they do request proof, like a death certificate or an obituary or something like that, to make sure they're making the right choice from a company perspective, because they don't want to do the wrong thing and just take somebody's word and then start deleting accounts left and right.
Yeah, and I wonder if they delete them, if, how far back they go to being backed up in case it was an error or somebody,
Right.
and then they can restore that person's account for them should they say, no, look, this is me, I'm not dead. So
Yeah, and it says if wishes aren't outlined or expressed before death, this is considering Facebook, you as a family member can still request that the member's Facebook account be removed. You'll have to provide proof of the death, like an obituary or a memorial card, and proof that you have authority to make such a request, such as power of attorney documentation, a birth certificate, will, or a state letter. Now that doesn't have that won't need to be done necessarily if you automatically have your settings configured such that you already have named a legacy contact. But if you don't have one, your family's going to have to jump through a couple of hoops to make sure that Facebook is going to be accurate by deleting the account or memorializing the account.
Right. I think with a lot of those, so much of this can be prevented from having to go through these hoops if the person would just in their will or in some setting, a document that their lawyer has, or hidden in a notebook somewhere, and they say, hey, if I ever die, this notebook's in my desk or whatever. And with their login information, their family can just go in there and literally disable their account just as if they were that person doing it. When it comes to Twitter and some of those, I almost said MySpace, which is hilarious. But some of these other social media accounts as well. So the other thing that is nice about Facebook setting for that is that once a year they'll send you a message asking you to update your annual your legacy settings. So has that person that you want to handle these should you pass, has that person changed? Do you want did you have a falling out with somebody in your family? Did that person pass away? Whatever the case may be, or just different settings in here in general. And then if you don't want your, people say, well, why would I want a Facebook account? I know some people I've seen on there, some people will leave up an account for a year or two at the most for their friends and family. A lot of times you'll see if you go to somebody's memorialization page, it'll say that that person passed away in 2019, and then on the anniversary some people will go back and be like, hey bud, I really miss you, I hope you're having a great time in heaven or whatever, and just it's their way of kind of still expressing their grief towards the loss of their friend or their family member.
And
be nice.
And not to get too far astray, but these days, with obituaries costing money in newspapers, and they're treated more like advertisements. The postings that you make at a funeral home website are often, while not technically social media, it's a place where people can gather together virtually and memorialize the loss of someone and help with the grieving process. So I know that I recently had someone, a family friend, pass away. And the obituary was very, very short in the newspaper, but it basically told people to go to the funeral home website, where then all of a sudden it blossomed up a plethora of grievance notifications and memorializations, and people putting in their own words and not having space as a parameter. Not having any constraints, people can really let the grieving process take hold and talk about whatever memories you want to talk about and how they'll be missed, and not have to worry about the word count and spending money.
Yeah. A lot of times we think, oh, social media is just Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and stuff. But you're right. A lot of these other, almost everything you go to these days is, you've got the option of being able to put comments about different stuff. Even like the Hip Senior Directory, you can go in there and just kind of like Google and Yelp and stuff like that. You can rate the businesses and put in comments about that and stuff like that. And technically that's really considered social media. It's interacting with other people would be my definition of, being able to share information and interact with people is my definition of social media. So if you've got the ability to interact with a website in any way, it's technically social media, even though we don't think of it that way.
Good point. Yeah.
And so the last option on here, Ryan, is a request that your account be deleted after you pass away.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't want to take the chance, and you don't want to give those people the chance to grieve or do anything or whatever.
I mean, that's a choice. It's a choice of whether you want to be cremated or have your remains buried. It's a choice whether you want to have a memorialization or legacy page, or whether you just want to put the kibosh on it and say, I don't want a social media presence after I pass away. People can talk about it in their own channels and on their own forums, but not my legacy page. So that is an option. And again, it's all up to personal choice. I certainly don't want to make any choice or legal decision for anybody. We're all about making sure people just know their options, especially if the options are free or very little cost to them, other than just some forethought.
Yeah, exactly. And just like I said, knowing that these options are available. Like we said, I think, Instagram, I think it's there a little bit, but you can't delegate who that person is, which I'm not sure why they haven't integrated the same thing along with Instagram. That's, to the Instagram and Facebook gods themselves. But, definitely make, put in your will, put in or have a document that's your attorney has, or that's in a notebook somewhere that has this information and where people can find it, and be able to carry out your wishes. Let people know, hey, this is where this information.
Are you there?
Yeah.
I might have to rejoin.
No,
hold on 1 second.
I hear you.
I think we got frozen.
I think Ryan's frozen. I see me moving. Hopefully we're still streaming live. Well, Ryan will be back in a few minutes, but yeah, just make sure that, like I said, the person, what you're doing and who you're interacting with and who's in your life knows what your wishes are. And again, you don't have to be 70, 80, 90 years old to take advantage of this scenario. If you're 20, if you're 50, if you're 30, whatever the case is, just make sure people know what your wishes are, because you never know what's going to happen. You could be on a roof hanging Christmas lights and fall off and be disabled. And I think Ryan is joining us again.
I'm here.
Ryan, welcome back.
I'm sorry. That was absolutely my fault. At least I'm 99% sure that was my Wi-Fi and not yours.
Wi-Fi is Wi-Fi. Who knows? But welcome back. So I was just saying, if someone who's 20 years old and thinks they're infallible, you just never know what's going to happen these days. So no matter what your age is, just take these precautions. It takes a few minutes. It's not that big of a deal to go in here and make these settings and or fix, designate somebody and just do it.
Well, it really gets you in the mode of having some forethought before you before you pass away. And similar to bank accounts, similar to other kinds of accounts that you have, it's important to take social media seriously. And that's also, I can get on my little soapbox and talk about how important it is to be careful before you post and be careful about what you post. That it'll make you think more holistically in your life about all the decisions you're making and whether you're including social media amongst those, what you might consider your assets or what you might consider your own legacy.
Yeah, exactly. You go through Facebook and sometimes you just see stuff and you're thinking, what was that person thinking? Because a lot of times these days, jobs, I remember a story that somebody had gone through like 3-4 different interviews for a law firm in order to be offered this position within this law firm. And they basically were at the point of hiring her. And then they went and checked out her social media and saw some action, some behavior on there that wasn't suitable for what they wanted their image of their law firm to project.
Yeah.
And they did not hire her based on her social media alone.
Mm-hmm.
She was all her other qualifications, but they're like, if you'll behave like this in public on social media, then we don't want that tarnishing our image for our business. And so, I always have, my daughter is 22, and I always say that I will not post or reshare anything on social media that I would not be embarrassed that my daughter would read.
Yeah. And I also tell people to pretend like, even if it may not be true, pretend like your posts are going to last forever and pretend like more people are going to see that post than you ever thought plausible based on your privacy and your security settings. So if you have it set to only go to Facebook friends, you know what? Be a little more conservative about it, not in the political sense, but be a little tighter about what you do online. Consider everything you post as being public, and then you're just naturally going to be more careful about it and a little more skeptical about what could arise if you do make certain posts on there.
Like, other than jobs, what do you insurance
Yeah.
Adjusters and insurance people that cover people for different stuff like that, they're looking at social media these days, I believe. And when you say, oh, I don't smoke and I don't skydive and all this other stuff, for life insurance type stuff, and then you go and you post pictures of you skydiving, they're going to come back, they're going to go through your stuff. They have people that do this all day long. They just go through posts and find stuff to prove that this person does behave in behavior in ways of that could cost them their life easier or faster than the average person or whatever.
Yeah, and just think when someone does get in trouble or something terrible happens to someone, I can just imagine what the newsrooms are doing to try to dig up old photos, old posts, finding some context for that person. And it's just, you don't want anything out there that's going to harm your reputation and to harm your legacy.
Exactly. And like I said, I don't allow anything on my stream that I think I would be embarrassed if my daughter saw it. She holds me up to be accountable for my behavior, especially when it's being shown out there to other stuff. Or my mom, my mom's a friend of mine on Facebook as well. There's some levels of living your own life and being true to yourself and not worrying about what other people say, but some of us still worry about what our moms think of us.
Absolutely.
But for me, it's not as much as my mom, because I do try to be authentic and live my true self. But again, I wouldn't put anything really vile out there that my daughter would be like, really, mom? Because I try to set a good example, and hopefully other parents out there do the same. So
hopefully.
But again, this setting was really, really easy. It was just literally, I'll go back and show people again if you're just catching up with us, right here in the general settings, and we're looking at the new Facebook layout here. And so if we go to my home and we click on the right arrow way over here in the corner over there, and we just click that down and we go into settings and privacy, and that top one is settings. that will lead you right there to where it says memorialization settings, and you just click on edit, and you go in there and you choose, who's going to be your person and what it is that you want to do, or you can even just request that it be deleted. So I hope everybody just takes a few minutes, at least find out where this is, and then share if you've got people in your life that you care about. Most of us do. Share the setting with them and say, hey, did you know that you could do this? Please take care of this, so we know what your wishes are when you pass away as well.
Yeah, definitely. Take this information and empower some of your friends and family, especially those that are of your same age, your peer group, because none of us are getting any younger. If you have lots of friends and family that are of the same age or roughly your same age, and you have some legacy issues that you want to resolve and you want to appoint a legacy contact, tell other people so they can appoint someone in their life too.
Great deal. So Ryan, yesterday was Cyber Monday. Did you buy anything on Cyber Monday?
I'm going to be embarrassed this year. I actually did not do a lot. I did shopping, but I didn't actually push the button and buy very much at all. The only thing I bought was a good deal on toilet paper. I did not buy any electronic gadgets this year, although I did buy one before Black Friday, because the reason what it is, it's silly, but it's a DVD monitor, a DVD and monitor, a little portable. It's like smaller than the size of a laptop, and it weighs less than a laptop, but it has the sole function of playing a DVD.
Right.
And it has sound and everything like that. My laptop is clunky. The one from work is better, but I don't want to use my work laptop for all my personal stuff.
Right.
So I bought this DVD player, but the only reason I was after it really was because I saw some Black Friday sales and I looked into those models and they turned me off. So I found one that I wanted. So I bought it off of way before Black Friday. But that's what instigated my interest in the product, was some of the Black Friday sales on, especially on notepads and notebooks and tablets. So I mean, that's where a lot of the sales have been, are on those kinds of smaller devices.
Yeah, I bought two things. I bought a brace for my ankle, because most people that know me know that I moved over the last 2 weeks and it was hell. And so I bought a brace for my ankle, and I bought a notebook that you can write in, and then you take a picture of the page and it sends that information to Google Drive or Dropbox or wherever you want it to.
Nice.
And so trying to be a little bit more green and not use paper when I'm taking notes and stuff like that. And so I can do that. And then you wipe it with a microfiber cloth, and then you start over. So I think that was like $25. So I bought that. And that was it for my Black Friday / Cyber Monday shopping.
I'll admit that I shopped, but I didn't buy. And sometimes that's the best approach, is to just empower yourself to do that research. And if ultimately you decide not to buy, that's sort of a win in and of itself, if you didn't waste your money or you didn't spend too much.
Hey, but you got gold. You got toilet paper.
That's true. And I used a coupon and I bought it online and I used curbside pickup.
Nice. I ordered mine through Amazon. I'll tell you a funny story before we go. When COVID started and everybody was buying all the stuff up in the stores and you couldn't find toilet paper and soap and hand sanitizer and stuff, I had just like the day before they announced this, I had gone on Amazon and purchased a case of toilet paper. And it was a smaller case, and it was stuff, when it gets floofier or whatever, and they put very little on a roll. And so we went through this case was going through this case pretty quickly. My daughter was living with me at the time and stuff, 2 women in the house and whatever. And usually I order Scott toilet paper, the single ply, whatever. And it seems to go a little bit faster, easier on the pipes and stuff. Anyway, I had said, oh, okay. So I'm looking at the toilet paper, guessing, okay, I think this is going to last us about another 3 weeks or so. So I'll go ahead and I'll order a case of the normal stuff that I usually buy. And it said, oh, this isn't going to show up until the end of April. And I said, perfect. Well, guess what? It showed up the following day.
Oh, wow.
I think this case had like 60 some rolls in it. And my daughter's looking at me going, tell me this is not actually toilet paper, because it said on the outside it was toilet paper. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, Mom, tell me this is not toilet paper. And I'm just like, I'm not saying anything. And she goes, stop hoarding. And I'm like, I wasn't hoarding. It was said it wasn't going to be delivered until the end of April. I thought I was planning effectively, and here I can't help that it showed up the following day.
All right, I've got a story, and then we can let each other go.
All right.
But I had bought on the phone. I had bought some paper clips for an office. I'll use I'll leave nameless the employer, but it was not my current employer.
All right.
But we needed paper clips in the office, and it was not a public entity, so we could just order from a toll-free number. And I think I ordered 100 boxes of paper clips, but little did I know it was 100 boxes of 100 boxes of paper clips.
Oops.
And so this huge amount of paper clips showed up at the employer, and I heard that they put down that I was an intern at the time there, and I heard they named the little section of the closet after me. They said, these are Ryan's paper clips that he left behind. And there were literally thousands of paper clips that I had purchased for that office. So that was it shows that you need to be very careful about quantity and serving size and knowing what you order before you order it, especially with little things like paper clips, because you might be ordering boxes of boxes instead of just the quantity you're seeking.
Even things like when you're shopping at the grocery store, make sure that you click on it and check to read the description exactly what you're buying, because the same thing happened to me with some kiwis, the fruits.
Yeah.
I thought I was ordering 6 kiwis. No, I ended up getting six packages of 6 kiwis. So I had 6 kiwis to go through before they went bad. It's just like,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do with 36 kiwis? I'm like handing them out to neighbors. Here, do you like kiwi?
Have a kiwi.
Great vitamin C. Please try it. So yeah, that's another thing with shopping and stuff. And maybe we'll cover some more of those kind of tips or whatever as we're getting closer to Christmas next Tech Tuesday.
Yeah, and our newsletter at the Ohio Attorney General's office, I think it's going out next Wednesday. So maybe I can preview some of those articles. We have a December issue of the newsletter. It comes out every other month, and that's on ohioprotects.org is the website to sign up for our absolutely free newsletter. So I hope you don't mind the plug, but we have a great newsletter, and we write about 4 articles every other month. So it's not too demanding of somebody's time. And we really try to only write about things that are important that we really want the population to know about. So we're going to be tackling holiday shopping and some other things on our December newsletter. So check out ohioprotects.org and feel free to sign up for our newsletter.
Absolutely. Everybody should go do that. And while you're at it, today is the 1st of December. So we're getting down to the end of 2020. And I know all of us are kind of hoping for 2020 to go away this year. And I don't usually advocate wishing time to go faster than it already does. But this year, no thanks. But if you go to thehipsenior.com, you're going to see that the new Dayton and Columbus, Ryan, Columbus is out there this month.
All right. Wonderful.
The Hip Senior is out. Also, so on the top, you can open up the magazine view of it, but starting in January, we're going to go with web-based so that businesses get better SEO and people can find stuff a lot easier in there as well. And so down there below, if you just click on one of the articles and start reading, on the right, you'll see where it says it has the different categories, but you can just go by page. There's articles that aren't in the magazine. There's recipes in there. People are starting to send us their favorite recipes. So it's definitely growing. So if you are 55 and older, or you've got a family member or friend that's in that age category, please share, go to the Hip Senior and share that site with them. Because it's turning out to be a lot of fun. And this month we've got the first article that was in there. I went into Instagram and I found, or maybe I think it was Pinterest, and found ugly sweaters for Christmas. And so maybe that will spark some ideas for you to create an ugly sweater for Christmas. You got yours ready? Ryan, you got your ugly Christmas sweater ready?
I've got sweaters. It's really up to subjectivity whether they're ugly or not. None of them are purposely ugly, but I think sometimes someone might have a subjective opinion about some of my current sweater selections.
I was going to suggest next week we wear our ugly Christmas sweaters, but I think I gave mine away. I cleared out before I moved. I cleared out my closet and gave a bunch of clothes away that I wasn't wearing to somebody who needed clothes. So I think I gave away
Yeah.
a Christmas sweater this year. So
Yeah,
maybe we'll have to find some Christmas hats or something for next Tuesday. So
that's a good idea.
there you go. So next Tuesday, 1 o'clock, same place, same bat channel for Tech Tuesday. Check out Ryan's newsletter that's coming out next Wednesday. We'll go over some tips from that next Tuesday as well. And again, the Hip Senior magazine is out for Columbus and Dayton. Dayton's is kind of the nationwide one, but we are starting to go nationwide with that. So if you know, have any friends anywhere in the country, anybody that focuses on senior citizens and helps them, has the heart to serve seniors, have them reach out to me. Let's get them set up to be doing articles for us and being in the directory as well. So Ryan, any last words?
No, I appreciate it. We may be doing an article for Hip Senior. I talked to my supervisor about it, and we're going to be launching some animated videos. And so she thought maybe that would be a good tie-in because she saw that sometimes you embed the videos into the Hip Senior magazine. So we may be doing something in the future to come on some topics like that.
Great. I'll call you when we get off here for a few minutes. We'll talk about
All
that.
right. Absolutely.
All right, everybody. I hope everyone has a great Tech Tuesday. Enjoy your Tuesday. We've got some snow on the ground here in Ohio, so hopefully everybody's staying safe. It looks like the roads are pretty clear though. So everybody stay safe, and we'll see you next Tuesday right here, same time, 1 o'clock at the Hip Senior.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye, everybody.
Bye.